Predicting the MAC is not one of the easier tasks that you can do, but that's what we're going to try to do today. We are going to take a look at the MAC and UConn to see what we should expect for them for their win totals. We'll look at every team's win total and their schedule to see which teams are going to hit the over and which teams are going to hit the under. We're actually going to start with the UConn Huskies. We're going to take a look at a team that I think has big expectations for the 2025 season. This is a team that had a major turnaround under Jim Mora, and this year could be an even better season. Win total is set at 7.5 for the Huskies, and it's going to be tough to beat some teams. You do have to play 3 Power 4 teams, and all 3 are from the ACC. You have Syracuse, Boston College, and Duke. And I think that 2 of those games, UConn could potentially pull off an upset. The Duke game is going to be a little bit more challenging. After that, though, this is a team that plays a lot of winnable games. And you go look at the records for certain teams that they play. You look at Central Connecticut, Delaware, Ball State. Buffalo is going to be tough. FIU, Rice, UAB, Air Force, FAU. You're looking at a lot of teams that struggled in 2024. And if you're able to win those for sure games and you sneak out an upset or 2, you're looking at a team that 8 wins is not going to be a problem. I'm going to go with the over here. That feels like where this team is headed. They have plenty of talent returning, and it'll be fun to watch them this year again. Akron's win total is set at 4.5. And while they can't go to a bowl game, there's definitely a possibility that they do win enough games to potentially, well, they aren't eligible, but to get to what would be bowl eligibility. Now, it's going to be tough. Joe Moorhead is walking a fine line because this is a program that is on quit watch from the beginning because of those circumstances. Now, they're going to start 0-2. Wyoming and Nebraska will beat this team. How you play against UAB and Duquesne is going to tell us a lot about where this program is headed. Again, you are going to have to find ways to win 5 or 6 games, and I don't know if that's enough to keep Moorhead's job. 6 wins, I think, is, especially if you were able to get a bowl game and you're just not able to go. This is a team that could surprise people, but the track record has told us that don't get your hopes up. Ball State is going to go under new leadership, and the wins might be hard to come by. 3.5 is the win total right now, and this is a team that is going to have a tough go around. You start with road trips to Purdue and Auburn. You then host New Hampshire before going to UConn. You then host the reigning MAC champions in Ohio, and after that there's just really not much of a break. You do get Akron and Kent State, which a lot of people think is going to be towards the bottom of the conference, but as you can see already, Akron has a win total that's higher than Ball State's. I'm going to go with the under here. I don't see 4 wins on this schedule unless they really surprise us. Bowling Green's win total is set at 6.5, and new head coach Eddie George has a lot of work to do. He doesn't have his top target in Harold Fannin. At least it wasn't his top target, the top target, I should say, from last year. That is going to be a challenge, but it's also a new culture, a new time with Bowling Green, and we've seen that this team has exceeded expectations in the past. 6.5, though, is a little bit steep. I don't really like that they do get Ohio, Toledo, and Buffalo all on the same schedule. You also have to play Cincinnati, Liberty, and Louisville. You're going to have a lot of tough games. And right there, that's 5 games that you could potentially lose, which technically still does put you on the over, but you do have to win the rest of those games. And there are some teams that could surprise this year. If Bowling Green's able to kind of stay stable and win those games, you feel okay, but it's going to be challenging. I'm going to go with the under. I still think they make a bowl game at 6-6, but it's going to be a little bit of a transition. Buffalo's a team I'm really high on, and this is a team that could get a lot of momentum going to the beginning of the year. I think they're going to lose to Minnesota. I really like the Gophers and what they can do, but you have 3 potential wins when you play St. Francis, Kent State, and Troy. The UConn game is going to be a back and forth battle. That one will be really fun. After that, you get some games that allow you to rack up some wins. You know, Eastern Michigan, UMass, Akron, Bowling Green, Central Michigan, and Miami, Ohio. I think Buffalo is the better team. You get Ohio at the end of the year, so by that point, you should have an idea of what your program truly is, of what your team looks like. This is a team that has done a lot of good work in the first year of Pete Lembo. And it'll be fun to see what he can do in year 2. They have the talent returning. They bring in Taquan Roberson to run the offense with LJ Henderson. And this is a team that I think has big goals for 2025. Central Michigan is a team that I'm not really sure. We're going to have to wait a little while before we truly know much about this team, because you're going to start the year 0-3. San Jose State, Pitt, and Michigan are your 3 road trips to start the year. That's not exactly a confidence builder. After that, you do get some potential winnable games, but you do have to face teams like Buffalo and Toledo. So finding 6 wins on this schedule could be a challenge. They have some nice pieces coming back, and I think this team could be an exciting team. It's just hard to win 6 games in the MAC. I'm going to go with the under here, probably more of like a 5-7 season, but they could surprise us. Now, one thing that I've kind of learned over the years is that you really shouldn't doubt a Chris Creighton led program. And Eastern Michigan, even though their win total is set at 4.5, is a team that I like the over for. Even though they have games like Texas State, Kentucky, and Louisiana, that's going to be games that you just get some good reps in, and then you just move on to the games that you can potentially win. Now, the road trips are a little bit challenging. You do have to go to Buffalo. You have to go to Miami of Ohio. And you do host Ohio and Northern Illinois, but you don't have to play Toledo. You avoid some of the tougher teams that you might struggle with. But again, you're just trying to get to 5-7 at a minimum. And if there's a guy who knows how to exceed expectations, it's Chris Creighton. I think the craziest part about Kent State's win total being at 1.5 is that I feel way more confident about the under hitting than anything else. I think this is a team that is going to struggle and struggle mightily. And you're talking about a team that has an interim head coach and is already on quit watch. And let's be honest, is anybody confident they're going to beat Merrimack? That's probably the one team that anybody feels they have a chance against, because after that, you play Texas Tech, Buffalo, Florida State, and Oklahoma. Those are teams that are going to hang a ton of points on you. And if you're not built to handle that adversity, it's going to be a long year. And that's just getting into the beginning of October. After that, you have to find ways to rally this team just to win 2 games. And after that, maybe you do have 1 win when you win in week 1. But after that, finding another win is super challenging. I'm going with the under here until I see it. This is a team that has so much to do. UMass enters the MAC with some hopes that wins will be on the horizon. And with a new coaching staff, that very well might be the case. It just might take them some time to have that happen. You start the year with Temple. You should get your first win against Bryant, but then you play Iowa and Missouri. You start conference play with Western Michigan, and then you should get your first conference win against Kent State. After that, you're going to have to find a way to win 2 more games to get you over that win total. I'm going to go with the under here. I think this is a team that's 3-9, and it's going to be a little bit of time before they truly get back onto the winning track. Miami of Ohio lost quite a bit of talent to the transfer portal, so getting to the over at 6.5 is going to be challenging. You start the year with Wisconsin, Rutgers, and UNLV, and after that is where you really have to figure out how you're going to win 7 of those next 9. I'm going to go with the under here purely based off of those factors. I think there's too much talent to replace. You lost a lot of skill talent on offense. And even though this team could go 6-6, that would still be the under. Northern Illinois is a team that's very interesting. They are going to have an interesting offense. I'm really excited to watch what Telly Johnson Jr. can do. And it'll be fun to see if they can pull off another monumental upset. They beat Notre Dame last year, and they're looking to potentially do that against Maryland, Mississippi State, maybe even San Diego State. This is going to be a fun team. Thomas Hammock deserves a lot of credit for what he has done, and this is a team that I think feels pretty confident about what they can do this year. I'm going to go with the over. The vibes around this program are good. You've seen that this team is not afraid to play power competition, and they have the capability of beating them. One of those teams, if you were able to beat Maryland or Mississippi State, the win total going over is definitely going to be a strong possibility. Ohio's win total is set at 7.5. And while they are the reigning MAC champions, I have some hesitancies about what this team can actually do. You start there with Rutgers, West Virginia, and Ohio State. After that, you're telling me that you have to win 8 of the next 9. That is a tough task. And you lost a ton of talent to the transfer portal. I'm going to go with the under here. I think that this is a team that could go 6-6, 7-5. Park Navarro is great. I like him. I think he's going to be really fun in this offense once again. but that's a tall task to ask. You do have to play Northern Illinois. You do have to play Buffalo. You avoid Toledo, but we see the MAC as this conference that is so difficult to win. And if Ohio can do it again with another new head coach, I'll be thoroughly impressed, and I'm happy to be wrong in that regard. Toledo's win total is at 8.5, and I'm going to go with the over here. I think there's a chance that they can upset Kentucky on the road. They absolutely thrashed Mississippi State last year, and Jason Candle knows how to get his teams ready for some of those big games. Kentucky is a team that could struggle, and that would just build a ton of momentum for a program that has big goals in 2025. You then have another big game in Western Kentucky. After that, if you're 2-0, this is a team that could run through a bunch of games and have no problem winning them. This is a team that is expecting to win the MAC this year. I'm going to go with the over. If they beat Kentucky, it's not even going to be a question. Western Michigan's win total was kind of surprising. It's at 7.5, which is the same as Ohio. And this is a team that could be really fun to watch. Now, winning 8 games to get the over will be a challenge. You start the year with Michigan State, North Texas, and Illinois. The North Texas game I'm not as worried about as the other two. And then you do start conference play against Toledo. That's going to be tough because if you start the year with a 1-3 start, you are going to have to run the table. You have to face certain teams that are going to be challenging. Miami, Ohio, their win total set at 6.5. Ohio is 7.5. Northern Illinois 6.5. And we mentioned Toledo. I'm going to go with the under here. I do really like this team. I think a 7-5 season would still be solid. If they're able to win 8 games, that would be super impressive. The North Texas game, though, is pretty much going to dictate if that happens or not. Again, the MAC is really tough to predict. Picking some of these is challenging just because this conference is so tight. There's not a ton of separation between a lot of these teams. And even a team like Toledo is definitely beatable. That's a team that is expecting big things this year, but we've seen in the past that they've been able to struggle because teams are so confident in what they do. It'll be fun once again. Action is one of the most beloved things in college football, and it'll be fun to see how this conference plays out this year.